In choosing Barack Obama as the 44th president, the United States took an epic leap beyond its heritage of slavery towards healing racial tensions. As he stood on the stage in Denver, Obama was on the edge of a previously unimaginable triumph over centuries of racism. On Election Day 2008, voters spoke of history and hope.
This is history.
It's history. A lot of people wouldn't think they would never see something like this.
It was an election that saw more than 131 million ballots cast and historically high voter turnout among blacks.
Given America's sordid racial past, not that long ago, for the right to vote, we were killed. And now you see people crossing those lines to vote for someone who is African American.
Obama, the son of a white woman from Kansas and a black man from Kenya, will be taking residence in the White House, which itself was built by slaves. In Washington, D.C., President Abraham Lincoln signed a bill ending slavery in 1862, some 8.5 months before Lincoln issued his Emancipation Proclamation. The proclamation did not automatically grant freedom, and life remained very difficult for the former slaves and their descendants in the decades that followed. There was widespread poverty, discrimination, segregation, and racial violence that lasted for the better part of the next 100 years, especially for those living in the South. A gradual campaign by African Americans to dismantle segregation gave way to a strategy of civil disobedience, including the pivotal 1955 Montgomery bus boycott and the 1965 marches on Selma. A new generation of black leaders emerged into prominence, including the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.
Mississippi is a state that has consistently resisted any move to rid itself of racism.
And Malcolm X.
Who are you? You don't know. Don't tell me Negro, that's nothing.
Those struggles started playing out on television newscasts in American homes, and they brought widespread attention to the inequalities in the South.
And there's a great swell of cheers to welcome Martin Luther King to the Speaker's podium.
Nearly 100 years after the post-Civil War 15th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution granted blacks the right to vote, was it fully realized with the 1965 Voting Rights Act. The next 4 decades saw several African American civil rights leaders attempt to turn their activism into running for the highest office in the land. Political analyst Norm Ornstein believes in Obama, Americans saw something new.
A candidate like Jesse Jackson or an Al Sharpton emerging from the confrontational 60s, where race became a card to be played, was simply not going to be able to move beyond a fairly narrow band of support. We have gone from having African Americans who were presidential candidates to having a presidential candidate who happened to be African American.
In Denver, Obama himself paid tribute to Martin Luther King Jr.
That 45 years ago today brought Americans from every corner of this land to stand together on a mall in Washington before Lincoln's memorial and hear a young preacher from Georgia speak of his dream.
On Inauguration Day, King's nephew, Isaac Newton Farris Jr., says he will be thinking of King's legacy.
You didn't give your life up for nothing. We are making serious progress towards the realization of your dream.
White America is maturing and growing and changing, and we're all learning the joy of living together rather than fighting while apart.
The excitement and spectacle of Obama's acceptance of his party's nomination in Denver will be draped in formality on Tuesday. 139 years after blacks were granted the right to vote, an African American will move into the White House. Tracy Brown, The Associated Press.